Why women need sex is a question that too many people avoid, and yet the answer is simple and powerful, because sex is not only about the body, it is about the mind, the spirit, and the connection a woman has with herself and the people she loves. From the earliest years, women are taught to minimize their own desires, to believe that their role is to give instead of to receive, to nurture everyone else and leave themselves last. That conditioning is so deeply rooted that even when it comes to intimacy, women will sacrifice their needs to keep the peace, to please a partner, or to live up to some false standard of what a woman should be. But the truth is that women need sex because sex is not just physical, it is emotional and psychological nourishment. It is one of the most natural and fundamental ways that a woman connects with herself and reclaims her power in a world that constantly tries to strip it away. When a woman embraces her sexuality, she taps into energy that fuels confidence, creativity, and courage. The chemicals released during sex reduce stress, lower blood pressure, improve sleep, and release endorphins that elevate mood. But even beyond science, there is a deeper truth. Women need sex because it reminds them that their bodies are alive, that they are not just machines for working, mothering, or caregiving, but beings who are meant to feel pleasure and joy. Too many women live disconnected from that truth, carrying stress, shame, or fear around intimacy, and as a result, they move through life feeling smaller than they are. Reclaiming sex is about reclaiming vibrancy, energy, and the right to feel good without apology. Women need sex because intimacy creates closeness, and closeness builds trust. In a world that constantly tells women to be guarded, to protect themselves, to compete, sex becomes one of the rare places where vulnerability can exist in its purest form. It is in those moments of being touched, of being seen, of being desired, that women remember they are worthy of love without conditions. That experience strengthens relationships, but more importantly, it strengthens a woman's relationship with herself. She learns to stop hiding, stop shrinking, and start standing in her truth. Sex is also about ownership of voice. Every time a woman speaks up about what she wants in bed, every time she chooses to initiate, every time she demands pleasure instead of waiting for permission, she is practicing a skill that translates into every other area of her life. She learns that her voice matters. She learns that her desires matter. She learns that she does not need to apologize for wanting what she wants. That confidence spills over into how she shows up at work, how she handles conflict, how she sets boundaries, and how she builds her life. When a woman is connected to her sexuality, she is harder to silence, harder to manipulate, harder to shame, because she has claimed a part of herself that is authentic and undeniable. Women need sex because it is not indulgence, it is health. It is not sin, it is humanity. It is not shameful, it is sacred. Too often, society makes women believe that needing sex is something that makes them weak or needy, when in fact it makes them whole. A woman who embraces sex as part of her life is a woman who carries a different kind of strength, one rooted not in pretending she doesn't need, but in boldly declaring that her needs matter just as much as anyone else's. That strength ripples outward, shaping how she raises children, how she builds relationships, how she contributes to her community, and how she lives her life. The truth is, when women deny themselves sex, they deny themselves joy, connection, and vitality. But when they embrace it, they step into their fullest selves. They radiate differently, they live with more energy, and they claim a kind of freedom that cannot be taken away. Women need sex because women need to feel alive, because women need to own their bodies without apology, and because women deserve the same level of fulfillment, passion, and power that men have always been allowed to claim without question. And that is the reality that no one should be ashamed to speak. Women need sex for physical health, stress relief, and emotional balance, and the reason is not just biological but deeply rooted in how the body and mind work together. When a woman experiences sex, her body releases a cascade of hormones and chemicals that directly impact her health. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, floods the system and creates a sense of closeness and connection, while dopamine triggers feelings of pleasure and reward. Endorphins rise and act as natural painkillers, lowering discomfort and producing a sense of calm. Cortisol levels drop, which reduces stress and anxiety, allowing the body to relax in a way that few other experiences can replicate. All of these physical shifts are more than temporary, over time, they create resilience, boost immunity, improve cardiovascular health, and even sharpen mental clarity. Sex is not a luxury for women, it is a vital process that supports the balance of both body and mind. Stress is one of the biggest challenges women face daily, often from juggling multiple roles as professionals, caregivers, partners, and friends, and the pressure can accumulate until it shows up in sleepless nights, constant worry, tension in the body, and even illness. Sex becomes a natural and powerful stress reliever because it works directly with the nervous system. During sex, the body shifts from a state of fight or flight to a state of rest and digest, a place where healing and restoration can actually happen. The heart rate rises during arousal but slows afterward, blood vessels dilate, muscles release, and breathing deepens, all of which create the kind of reset that meditation or exercise might provide, but in a way that combines physicality with intimacy and pleasure. For a woman carrying the invisible weight of the day, sex acts as a profound reset button that lets her body and mind exhale. Beyond the chemistry and the relaxation, sex for women contributes to hormonal balance in ways that directly affect health. Regular sexual activity can regulate menstrual cycles, ease cramps, and support reproductive health. It can also improve pelvic floor strength, which matters for long-term health and vitality. Estrogen levels rise with consistent sexual activity, which helps maintain bone density, supports heart health, and keeps the skin vibrant. For women approaching or experiencing menopause, sex can reduce symptoms like dryness, insomnia, and mood swings, not because it solves everything but because it keeps the body in tune with its natural rhythms. In a culture that often dismisses women's needs by framing sex as optional, the reality is that women's bodies are built to benefit from intimacy in ways that extend far beyond the bedroom. Sex also enhances emotional balance because it links the body's physical response with the mind's emotional state. Women who are sexually fulfilled often report greater confidence, improved self-esteem, and stronger connections with their partners. It is not only about the act itself but the way it makes a woman feel valued, alive, and capable of experiencing joy. The release of oxytocin fosters feelings of safety and bonding, reducing feelings of loneliness or disconnection. Even in situations where a woman engages with herself through self-pleasure, the act still provides the same hormonal benefits and reinforces self-love, which has a direct impact on mental health. Emotional balance comes from consistently giving yourself permission to feel, to release, and to connect, and sex is one of the most powerful ways women can access that kind of balance. When women are deprived of sex, whether by choice, circumstance, or stigma, the absence can sometimes create imbalance. Higher stress levels remain in the system, sleep suffers, irritability rises, and the body misses out on the natural cycles of release and replenishment that sex provides. Over time, this imbalance can translate into chronic fatigue, lowered immunity, or emotional heaviness. While sex is not a cure-all for every health issue, it undeniably plays a role in keeping the body and mind aligned. For women who are often conditioned to ignore their own needs, remembering that sex is a form of self-care is a radical shift. It is not indulgence, it is not distraction, it is maintenance of health in the same way that eating well, exercising, or resting are. Women need sex for physical health because it supports the body's systems, they need sex for stress relief because it provides one of the most natural and immediate ways to release tension, and they need sex for emotional balance because it strengthens connection both to self and to others. It is a foundation for well-being, not an afterthought, and it deserves to be recognized as a necessary part of women's lives.